Okay, good evening. Welcome to the special session for the Newcastle City Council for August 18th. The time is 6 o'clock. We are meeting early this evening to go into executive session. There will be an executive session to review the performance of a public employee pursuant to RCW 42.30.1101G and per RCW 42.30.111I to discuss with legal counsel representing the agency litigation or legal risks of a proposed action or current practice that the agency has identified when public discussion of the litigation or legal risks is likely to result in an adverse legal or financial consequence to the agency. Executive sessions are closed to the public. We will convene at the executive session at this time, 6 o'clock, for approximately 45 to 50 minutes. We invite City Manager Pingle, Acting Attorney Schaefer, and Community Development Director Fitzgibbons to join us. Thank you.
The council will be out at 7:10. They've extended their executive session.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. The City Council just returned from executive session where we discussed the performance of a public employee and legal issues with legal counsel. We will commence the regular meeting at 10 after 7. It gives the council members a chance to take a quick break. 10 after 7 will be the start. Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Newcastle City Council regular meeting for August 18th. My name is Mayor Clark. The time is 7 o'clock. As a reminder, this meeting is being recorded and it is being broadcast live on our YouTube channel. If you desire to make a public comment, I'll say now that there's sign-up sheets over on the dais, so please sign up at the appropriate first or second public comment period. At this point, please stand and join us in the flag salute. City Clerk, please call roll.
Councilmember Burford.
Here.
Councilmember Sherlock.
Here.
Councilmember Griffin.
Here.
Councilmember Quigg.
Here.
Councilmember Charbonneau.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Lacotia. Here. And Mayor Clark.
Here.
All here, Mayor.
Thank you, City Clerk. As a reminder that the City Council had a special meeting at 6 o'clock where we went into executive session. The executive session discussed the performance of a public employee pursuant to RCW 42.30.1101G and RCW 4230.1101I to discuss with legal counsel pending litigation, excuse me. No actions or votes were taken in that executive session. First thing up tonight is the agenda approval. Are there any council members who would like to change, modify tonight's agenda? Okay, seeing none, show the agenda approved as written. The next up is public comment. City Clerk, do we have anybody signed up? All right. So for public comment, I'll call your name. Please come to the podium. You'll have 3 minutes. You'll have 3 minutes to discuss whatever issue you'd like. The buzzer will sound at the end. We ask you to wrap it up when the buzzer sounds. So when you come to the podium, please state your name and neighborhood, and you'll have to turn on the microphone when you do so. The first name is, I'm sorry, I can't read it completely. It's Brian. I can't really say your name, last name, sorry.
Mayor, sorry to interrupt. Randy would like to say something real
Oh,
quick.
excuse me, Brian, you can stay there for a second. Yes, my apologies. Randy,
It's okay.
please
Prepared
give
tonight.
us your speech. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. It is election season, so I have been asked to provide a reminder to everyone in attendance tonight about the Washington state law as it relates to the use of public facilities and election campaigns. RCW Title 42, Chapter 17A, Section 555 prohibits the use of public facilities to assist a campaign for election of any person to office or to support or oppose ballot propositions. The Public Disclosure Commission is the state agency with jurisdiction to enforce this statute, and they interpret the statute very broadly. Thus, it prohibits the use of using the public comment period during a public meeting for election-related purposes. The prohibition is not just for the public, it also applies to council member comments during a public meeting as well. Just a friendly reminder. To stay in compliance and to avoid any potential for violations of the statute, we ask that you please refrain from making comments that either promote or oppose a candidate or a ballot measure. Please keep your remarks focused on issues relating to city business or city functions and not on campaigns or election issues. And this includes comments regarding election or campaign materials such as flyers, letters, or other election-related communications. We thank you for your cooperation in keeping your comments focused on the city issues.
Thank you, City Attorney. Yeah, I'm a little rusty. Haven't been here in a while. I will say that Councilmember Griffin normally uses headphones, but they're not working tonight, so we would ask anybody talking, to speak directly into the microphone so we can hear you better. Thank you. So Brian, please go right ahead.
All right, can you hear me? That works? I don't know if I can hand these to someone to pass down. These are just flyers about the Newcastle Library. Sorry. All right, thank you, City Council, Mayor. So my name is Brian Candelori. I am the regional manager for the Riverview section of KCLS, of which Newcastle down the street is one. I'm coming to you. I wanted to share some of the success we've had at the library with our summer reading program. So we've seen an explosion of interest in the Newcastle community for our programs. Last We had a summer reading kickoff program, which was really great. I know that document or flyer is slowly making its way. So we've had a several-fold increase in our registrations for summer reading. There's a Sasquatch that's really cool at the Lake Boron Park. We were part of a big festivity. We had, I forget his name. He makes a lot of noises. He kind of just shows up and makes noises with his mouth. Kids loved it though. 30 of your residents really enjoyed it. And I also wanted to throw out that we have a few programs coming up that you might find interesting. So we are having a summer dance party on the 20th, which I believe is tomorrow. So if you have kids and they're free tomorrow at the library, there'll be a summer dance party. We also have chess for kids and teens. That's very popular. We have an art exhibit opening night on September 3rd. And we're very excited to announce this. We will have a monthly Vietnamese story time starting soon, next month. So if you pay attention to our website, it'll be on there. And we are having I meant to chat GPT this. I'm going to mispronounce it. I'm sorry. Gonzago, drumming and dance showcase. Anyone want to throw me? Okay. On September 13th. That is for all ages. So we really appreciate Newcastle community's embrace of King County Library. And if there's anything that we can do to help improve services, I'm available by contact. Dan Tilton here will be your contact going forward too. So that's all I got. Any questions, comments, concerns?
Thank you, Brian. We don't normally take questions or comments from the public, but I would encourage you to email your contact information to our council. I don't know that I have your name, or I don't know if anybody else has your name. Just
Sure.
maybe after this meeting, you can send it to the entire city council, and that'll go to all of us.
Sure, I'll be happy to do that. I can also drop off some business cards.
You can hand it to
Whatever's
the city
easiest.
clerk.
Am I allowed to give flyers out
To the city
other
clerk.
folks?
Or you-
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Brian. Okay, nobody else has signed up. Anybody?
Oh, by the way, so I was at the summer reading kick-off program. And it was really successful. The noisy guy was really popular. Thank you. Thank you for such engaging program. Thank you. Also, I'm with Friends of Newcastle Library. So library is really near and dear to my heart. Thank you for coming. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
City clerk, anybody signed up online? Okay, public comment is concluded. Oops. Next up is no ceremonial presentations tonight, and now is council comment. We'll start with Councilmember Charbonneau. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Please.
Yeah, good to see folks at the concert series. I appreciate folks coming out and talk with a lot of folks working at our local businesses there too, which is great to have tables. And then I appreciated seeing folks at National Night Out. And I really, really appreciate the King County Sheriff, Patty Cole-Tyndall, actually did come by. I got a chance to talk with her and appreciate her stopping by in Newcastle. So,
Councilmember Quigg.
I had nothing to say until I saw Maria in the back row there. Hi, Maria. Yeah, I'm talking to you. I just want to thank Maria. Nobody maybe recognizes how much you do, because ever since I joined the Finance Committee, she puts together a lot of the paperwork for Director Lindsay over here and doesn't get a lot of credit. So actually, while you're here, I just want to say thank you, Maria, for all you do in the background for the city to make our numbers look great. So thank you, Maria.
Councilmember Griffin.
No comment.
Councilmember Sherlock.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I'll just echo, thank you for all the wonderful summer events that we've had so far, and Newcastle Days is coming up next. Thank you to the CAC, Amy George, all the staff and volunteers that make those happen. I also just wanted to acknowledge that Jeff Braun's, our Public Works Director, recently resigned. And I just want to say I wish him well in his next endeavor. And thank you to Carrie Sullivan for stepping up as our interim acting director. Not sure what the right words are, but appreciate everyone on the staff working together to make sure that all our services continue for our community. And then I also wanted to make a motion, if that's all right, Mayor.
Sure.
So I'm just gonna make the motion and then we can. So I move to give City Manager Pingle a 5% raise instead of the standard 3% this year.
A second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to give the city manager a 5% raise rather than the standard 3% raise. It's been moved and seconded. Do you want to speak to your motion?
Yes, thank you. We recently did a performance review, and I'm just continued to be impressed by Mr. Pingle, our city manager. I think him and his team's ability to find places to improve efficiency and reduce expenses has been very impressive over the last 3 years. Scott is clearly well respected among our staff. I appreciate how he includes all the staff members in finding ways to improve budgets and processes. And I've just seen a lot of positive changes in this organization since he's come on. And I think that this raise doesn't bring him too far up in the what other city managers in our area get for compensation, but it moves it more in line, and I think it's important to make sure that he knows how much we appreciate him and compensate him for all the hard work that he's done.
I heard 2 seconds, so it was a tie. Councilmember Charbonneau, go ahead.
Thank you. So I think, yeah, the city manager will already be receiving a 3% raise, and that'll take him up from $209,000 a year to, like, this is public, right? $215,000. So this would only be a sort of $4,000 a year on top of that raise, which I think is eminently reasonable. I think Scott has, City Manager Pingle has saved us multitudes more money than that, and has helped us, grow as a city tremendously. We've reduced, we've become more efficient. We've reduced staff since he's come here. We've been more efficient with our processes, and he's looking at comparable cities to ours, cities with similar population sizes. He's under everyone else as of right now, even though he's been there just as long in terms of serving as a city manager relative to other people. So I think when we look at the job market, I think it's important to not only attract good candidates like City Manager Pingle, but make sure we keep them here. So that's why I would be supporting this personally.
I'll entertain any other comments on this motion, if there are any. Any other council members? Councilmember Burford?
So I really appreciate Scott's dedication to our city and his long-range planning and strategic decision-making. And he's really proactive, thorough, and collaborative. And really, throughout his hard work and thoughtful planning, he has saved money for our city. And comparing to other city managers' annual salaries, that's why I feel strongly that we at least should offer the 5% raise. Thank you, Mayor.
Any other comments? I'll just have one. I do appreciate the service that the city manager has given to our city. Him and I, we have sometimes an oil and water relationship, but we get along pretty well, and I do appreciate all he's done. I will not be voting for this, however. I would like to see us get through the budget season, frankly, and see where we're at. And, this is not a direct reflection or any kind on the city manager's efforts. I just feel that we need to figure out where our finances are. And while 4,000 or whatever was mentioned seems like a small number, it all adds up. So that's my opinion on this. So the motion on the floor is to provide the city manager with a 5% raise rather than the standard 3% raise that he will be receiving. All in favor? Opposed? No. Motion fails 3-4. Okay. Moving on with council comment. Councilmember Burford, you're up next.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming. And I also want to say it's so great to see lots of people at our concert at the park and the National Night Out. And thank you for CAC and our city staff, Amy, George, and everybody. And also, I want to send my best wishes to Jeff as he resigned. And also, kudos to Carrie for stepping up and working hard. And also, I want to share personally, I had a tour on August 5th, hosted by our Newcastle Historical Society, Mike Interkofer. He gave us the tour of the farm and Newcastle artifacts. So to me, identity and history matters. That's about who we are, about our city. And he is really, really thorough and knowledgeable and showed us a lot of artifacts throughout the history of Newcastle. And I really appreciate. I want to take this moment to say thank you. So Newcastle Trails, Gary and Peggy and I, we were all on the tour. Thank you so much. And I think next event will be our annual Newcastle Days. I look forward to seeing more people, and also we also need more volunteers. And I just want to once again thanks to volunteers are truly our Newcastle's valuable assets. I want to once again shout out to our dedicated Newcastle volunteers, and thank you.
Deputy Mayor?
No comments, thank you.
Okay, mayor comments, I only have one. At the next meeting, which should be September 2nd, I believe is the right date, so we're going to do another veterans pinning. So we did this last year in June. There will only be a couple of people that are interested in that, so we'll start a little early at that meeting. This is the pinning for Vietnam era veterans. So that's, you know, that program runs out on November 11th, Veterans Day this year. So if you know anybody that's listening right now knows of a veteran that served between 1955 and 1975, the Vietnam era it's called, and we would like to recognize that person's special service. So please get in contact with me. But right now there'll be 2 or 3 people right before the next meeting. So that's planned. Okay, moving on, we have the second quarter financial report. Director Chambers.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council. I did not prepare any additional comments other than what's in the report, but at this time, if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to take those.
Okay. Questions for Director Chambers? Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, can you just, high level for the audience, just tell us how we are doing, how we are trending?
Absolutely. So just very high level, looking at revenues, they've been coming in stronger this year than we've seen in the past couple years. Primarily a couple that we're looking at are related to development. So still watching those in the local environment to see if that's a sign of the local economy doing better, or if there's other factors that are, like the threat of tariffs that are influencing that. But either way, it's good for the city. Impact fees are doing very well this year, which is going to help our capital funds and reduce some of the need for REIT in those funds, which I'm glad to see. And then on the expenditure side, staff is still, I have to give them the credit. They're still doing a great job, only spending what they need to on things, reducing wherever they can, being very mindful of spending. So our operating expenses are still trending lower than what we've seen in past years. And then we have some capital projects that are going to be kicking off here pretty soon.
Any other questions for Director Chambers? Okay, thank you so much. You're always so well prepared. We never have anything to say. Okay, moving on. Next up, we have a presentation and discussion establishing a youth council. And this is going to be, I guess, Councilmember Charbon, I'll let you introduce this, but we have a Ashna Sika. I'm sorry if I say that wrong. So So Councilmember Charbonneau, you want to kick
Sure.
us off?
Yeah. I mean, I'll let Ashna do most of the talking because she, came to council sort of with this idea, and I know it had floated for a little while, and then I wanted to make sure it was realized. So I've been, she took a tremendous amount of initiative, and I think that should be absolutely recognized. Of sitting down with me and City Manager Pingle a couple times, sitting down with city staff, going to other commission meetings, and really fleshing this out. Getting feedback from us on, hey, here's how, what might make sense for our community, incorporating that feedback and doing a really good job with this. I'm excited to hear her present. We're going to be, this is a discussion item tonight, so the hope would be potentially to, hear it tonight. I know Ashna is very receptive to any feedback, and then we could consider if we're open to it, consider voting on something in the September 2nd meeting would sort of be the structure tonight. So. Ashna, I will let you take it away.
Thank you so much. So, hello everyone, good evening. My name is Ashna Sika, and today I'm going to be presenting a proposal for a Newcastle Youth Council, as Councilmember Charbonneau highlighted. That's perfect. So, a quick overview. I'm going to start the night by talking about a little bit about background of this project idea, and then I'm going to go into some council goals, roles and responsibilities, what the council member application is going to look like, and then what leadership applications are going to look like. And then I'm going to talk about attendance and service requirements that I've put together and putting together events, and then recruitment and initiation for this program, and then sustainability, and some next steps, and then I'm going to conclude and give an opportunity to ask some questions. So, a little bit about me. My name is Ashna Sika, as I've stated. I'm 17 years old and I'm a senior at Liberty High School. I've served in a variety of leadership roles over the past few years, and that includes Girl Scouts, my theater leadership team, and a variety of other places, but most notably the Issaquah Schools Foundation. So, being in the Issaquah School District, I really wanted to get involved at a higher level. And last year I started serving as student trustee in the Issaquah Schools Foundation. So what that role includes is going to my school, reporting on student life, bringing that back to the district, and I think bridging that gap between the Issaquah Schools Foundation and students themselves, individual students. And naturally having an interest in government and politics and knowing that so many decisions that heavily involve students are made in the city council discussions, I wondered if the Newcastle City Council had something similar that I could get involved in. And upon realizing that there wasn't really a program that fit those guidelines, I decided to start my own youth council. And so I've gotten amazing help from City Manager Pingle and Councilmember Charbonneau to start a youth council for Newcastle High School students. So the goals of this program would include driving youth involvement within the community, providing a student perspective in city council discussions, planning events in Newcastle with a strong student focus, and what I think is most important, fostering civic leadership education for not just others in the community, as I've highlighted in this presentation, but also for people within the council, because I think it's really important for youth to know how the government works, even if it's not something they're going to get involved in as a career. I think that just understanding and being civically educated is so important. Slide, please. Diving into some roles and responsibilities. Now, we decided that we shouldn't cap the amount of students that can be involved in this, so as many students as want to apply are able to. However, given that this is government, we'll hold leadership elections for 6 very specific leadership roles, one of which we can have multiple people serving on. So, a brief overview of those. We'll have a chair, who's the head of the youth council, leads council meetings and holds all votes, coordinates events, and serves as a public spokesperson for the youth council, as well as helping interview new applicants. We'll have the vice chair, who assists the chair with their duties, assumes the chair position during any absences, and leads specific project-based tasks within the council, and also helps interview new applicants. Then we have the secretary, who's in charge of sending council meeting agendas, taking meeting minutes, managing documents, handling email communications, and tracking youth council meeting attendance. Then we have our publicity manager, who leads all advertising regarding community events and runs the Youth Council social media account, and will also help recruitment for the Youth Council as that heavily ties into publicity. And then we have our service supervisor who keeps track of service hours and community event attendance, ensures that all council members have completed their requirements to remain in the council for the upcoming year, and tracks just general community outreach. And then committee liaisons. So I want to do this with the Community Activities Commission, the Planning Commission, and the Economic and Community Development Commission. So these people would serve as the youth voice on the committee that they're assigned to. So they'd share input, they'd report key updates back to the Youth Council, and they'd give brief recaps at each Youth Council meeting. And this is just to make sure that students aren't only focusing on City Council, but also specific projects that each of these commissions are doing, because I think it's really important to understand how those different parts of the City Council function as well. And then we have our general role. So the other leadership roles, you have to serve at least a year in the Youth Council to apply for, which is completely fair because it proves that that student has experience and is dedicated to the program. But the general Youth Council member role is open to any high school student in the Newcastle community. So it's not an elected position, and they work with the council to represent the youth of the community, and again, any high school student can apply regardless of their previous involvement. And then lastly, we have our adult role, the Youth Council Advisor. This is going to be a designated council member from the City Council who's in charge of just overseeing the Youth Council, advising, helping coordinate events, things like that. I think while I really support youth involvement taking the biggest leadership position it can, it's very important to have an adult that oversees and facilitates things, especially one who's very involved with the city, so a council member. So next, for our council member application. The application will be open year-round, and it consists of a written application through Google Forms, which I have a draft of already that I can email to anyone who'd like. A virtual or in-person interview with the Youth Council Chair, the Youth Council Vice Chair, and the Youth Council Adult Advisor. And this is really important, admission will be separate from the City Council. So the Youth Council is going to admit students independently, but the City Council will take a vote just to approve that at each meeting. Applicants must be current high school students or rising ninth graders, and they must be Newcastle residents or in the boundaries of a Newcastle school. The next for our leadership roles. Leadership roles are going to be assumed through an election process as this is a government. At the April meeting, Youth Council members planning to run will announce their candidacy, and at the May meeting, they'll deliver a 1 to 3 minute speech and ballots will be cast. So every Youth Council member is eligible to vote, but candidates must have already served on the Youth Council for a minimum of 1 year for candidate eligibility. After reviewing the ballots, the Adult Advisor will announce the next year's leadership team. Next, we have our attendance and service requirements. I really want to make sure people are dedicated to this, and a big part of that is completing these requirements because being an active part of the community is not just showing up to these youth council meetings, but it's also being a well-rounded member of the community. So there is a requirement for youth council meetings. If you're a general council member, you may miss up to 5 of the 12 meetings each year, and those in a leadership role may miss up to 3 of the 12 meetings each year. And you've probably noticed this since there are 12 meetings each year, but meetings are monthly. Then all council members must attend 4 city council meetings per year, just to help with that civic engagement. And committee liaisons must attend at least 80% of their designated committees' meetings. Then for youth council-led events, so collaboratively, I'm going to talk about this a little bit more on the next slide, but the Youth Council will be expected to hold at least 3 community events per year. Youth Council members must volunteer at a minimum of 1 of these events, which I think is a very easy requirement, but also makes sure that we're staying involved. And then lastly, Youth Council members must complete 25 hours of community service in Newcastle outside of the Youth Council each year. So that can include trail cleanup, adopt a drain, volunteering at Newcastle Days, or any other similar events that are approved. For our events specifically, the Newcastle Youth Council will be expected to plan a minimum of 3 community events per year. And ideas that I've talked about with Councilmember Charbonneau include a youth town hall, which would likely be our first event as it's the easiest to coordinate. And it would involve young people from the area gathering to share their opinions regarding city improvement. And I feel like this would be a very low stakes environment, considering that speaking in front of the city council at one of these meetings might seem a little intimidating, but when it's among your peers, it's a little bit easier. And then a youth-run fair where students who run small businesses can set up booths in Lake Boren, and other students can have a chance to showcase their talents on the park stage, just something to really get young people involved. And then a children's theater in the park event was another idea, where theater troupes from local high schools or community theaters that have been working on plays directed toward children can come perform a condensed version of their shows. And this would be really fun because it would be a way to get younger kids really interested in this sort of thing while also giving older kids a chance to showcase their talents. Now, I've already done a lot to recruit and initiate this program because I really want to make sure that it is long-lasting. This is something I want to be sustainable. So 20 people that I've talked to have already expressed eager interest in applying for the program, and I'm still awaiting responses from 15 other people. So there's an amazing turnout already. And applications would open as soon as the program is cleared with the City Council. Pending council approval, the Youth Council would be ready to meet as soon as October and hold leadership elections in November. So advertisement for the program could happen through the Newcastle newsletter, social media, flyers, the local high schools, and many other organizations and outlets. So it would be a very easy process in terms of getting people involved with this. Now, for our sustainability, I'm not making this a separate club, my own organization. I want this to go through Newcastle City Council because I want to come back in 10 years and see this program thriving. I want this to be something that lasts because it's not just about me, it's about getting other kids involved with government. I really want people to understand how the government works. I think civic education is so important, especially in today's time. And so to ensure that this program is strong for a really long time and successfully initiated, I've contacted the organizations listed on this PowerPoint, the Economic and Community Development Committee, the Community Activities Commission, and the Planning Commission for committee liaisons. And then I've also talked to the Newcastle Historical Society, local Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts troops, the local high schools, Newcastle Library, Newcastle Arts Council, Newcastle Trails, the Newcastle Chamber of Commerce, the YMCA, and Aegis Gardens, which are all organizations that can tie the council to the community rather than to specific people. And also, as I talked with City Manager Pingle about, the program's rigid structure that we've detailed can really heavily contribute to its sustainability, which is also very important. And then for some next steps. First, City Council needs to approve the program, and that is why I'm presenting here. And then once the school year starts, we need to advertise the program through the high school career counselors and community youth organizations, and then start accepting applications. And I think we have a good process for, it could either be me and Councilmember Charbonneau or whoever else wants to get involved to interview those students and get those applications running. And then we need to appoint an adult advisor to the committee who would be a serving council member. And then schedule regular meeting dates. And again, this is a big part of the sustainability part. I really want that aspect to show through. I want there to be a regular meeting date, so it's not like we're planning, September 12th and then October 14th, and then I want there to be, okay, we meet the first Monday of each month or the last Friday of, something like that. And so that's a very big part. And yeah, just overall, I think the biggest thing with this is, as I've stated many times, I really want youth to get involved with the government. I think that it's so important for them not just to learn, but to contribute and to understand not just how the government works, but the role they can play in it. And I thank you so much for having me, and at this point, I'll take any questions on the table.
Thank you, Ashna. That's very, very detailed. Very,
you.
very excellent presentation. So yeah, go ahead, Deputy Mayor. We'll start with questions.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I'm very impressed with your presentation. I think, involving youth in anything has always been a challenge. I'm part of Hero House as a board member, and my whole reason I joined there because I wanted to bring young people into it and create awareness. So I'm so glad that you're taking this initiative and very well prepared for it. So I'm really happy that you're doing that. I would just add that, a lot of programs the library runs, and he just came and presented that. So if you could also add that to your list of things, I saw you Arts Council and all of that. If you can just make a list of all the activities that the library does, and they require a lot of volunteers. So, your youth council can, every month there's, few programs running. So your youth council can create awareness in the community and amongst the young people to kind of participate in that, because we see very little participation from our own community in some of those programs. So
That'd be amazing, yeah.
yeah, and thank you for doing
so
this. I'm looking forward to this council, and you have all my support.
Thank you, I really appreciate it.
Thank you. So I wanted to share a little bit more to sort of augment what we just heard, and just sort of head off what I think might be a couple questions from folks on the structure of everything. Because City Manager Pinkel and I were doing our best to match this very clear, awesome initiative with how do we make this work? So what we're looking at is, we didn't want to make it the structure of a city commission or something like that, because then you're limited to number of people. We don't want to make them subject to OPMA among you council members and everything, and all the city records that be pre-records intensive. So we want it to be an entity that is, but at the same time, right, if we look at entities like Newcastle Trails, Newcastle Historical Society, they are really powered by the folks in there. And I think, the young people have a bit of a structural disadvantage because a lot of them will serve maybe while they're in high school and then go off to college or go to the military or go do what they do. And when I talked to past Newcastle council members that had seen youth involvement before, that's normally what happened is there was a young person that was involved and then they went to college and then it ended, right? And looking at the sustainability here, bringing back the youth liaisons to council commissions, which we had in the past, and then just again sort of died and has been dormant. Currently I chair the Economic Development Committee, so I was more than happy to have a youth person come there. What we'd look at doing is sort of making a council rules adjustment would be the technical thing here, and that would be have one council member be a liaison to the youth council by making a council rules adjustment. And then we can that person can be liaison, help them, coordinate, stay on track. It was really important too for us. We don't want to politicize any appointments to the youth council, so we think it's cool if young folks can maybe be. And we can talk about this a little bit to City Manager Pinkel. Like if they were affirmed or approved by the council in any way, it would be like perhaps a consent or something where it's like if they wanted to consent agenda, if they wanted to come and get confirmed, and that just can be weird for them to engage. And then, the community service aspect, really great. And again, if there are other little technical aspects of this we need to shift, it's not set in stone. That's part of what tonight is for as well too, but I hope that provides some context. And we've been really, diligent about reaching out to those. And I think the biggest piece for me too was getting connected with the career counselors at Hazen and Liberty, because there's students that need to fill in civics requirements, and this is just like, that's just presenting them to, it's a great way to get them involved, and then, but wanting to have some structure with it, because I think, I found as a coach in high school, and Ashna had found as well, it's like, I think there's a lot of things pulling people's attention. A lot of people will raise their hand for something, maybe for their resume or something, wanted it to be a good learning experience and commitment for those folks. So, actually having them submit an application shows a level of seriousness and engagement, and then, community service events, attending more city functions and all that helps build on that, so.
I got a series of questions. Thank you again. Thank you so much. So these are kind of random questions, and maybe I missed it during the presentation, but so you mentioned, in either Councilmember Charbonneau or you can answer this, but would this be an official body where we have to keep records? In other words, what's the deal on the record part of it? notes, records, like if they're gonna make a recommendation to us on some issue, I mean, wouldn't that need to be a paper trail of some kind?
So, I think we need to make sure we massage that because it'll hinder them and it'll certainly hinder us from a staffing and public record standpoint. If they're, like they said, if it was a full-blown commission, that's a lot.
Yeah, okay.
And so, Ashna presented, I think that we need to massage that just for the longevity of the council, of the youth council, so that there's something that keeps it going and it's not just an Ashna project and then she goes off and it dies. But I think we need to be careful about how we tie it to the city so that we have involvement but not restrictions. And so, I don't know that I can say right off the top of my head like what that needs to say. I think a council rules adjustment would be enough, and we'll have to figure that part out. But I think we need to be careful about that because, like I said, we don't have the staff to take on a whole bunch of, to take on an additional commission and what comes along with that.
Right.
But we also don't want them to be hindered in having to, if they end up with 30 members, we have to train them in public records. We have to, we want to avoid that part of it. And so I definitely think we need to massage that part and make sure we know what we're getting into.
Okay, so that kind of leads into the next question. So let's say we pick the first Monday of the month or whatever random day we pick. Is it the idea that that group would meet in this chamber and then the people would sit at the dais like a council? Or, I mean, because that brings us to insurance issues, right? We have, I don't understand. So could you clarify that? Where do you plan to meet and how does that structure in? If the city clerk could, like, are we liable in some way? And first of all, I'm not opposed to this at all. I just want to get these questions clear.
No, 100%. And I do think that's something that, again, I assume everyone else who's interested in applying for this can be very flexible to. And so I think whether that means meeting in this facility or meeting at the library or something, I think that can definitely be talked about and discussed later.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think maybe part of what the youth council can figure out is if they can meet during the business day, that might change things a little bit, just from a who's here and from a liability standpoint, and not having to then supervise minors after hours and things like that. But we'll work on answers to those questions.
Sure, understand. And so then, I guess I'm going to make up a wild example. So let's say you meet and you have an opinion about, how the parks are maintained. Is that like an idea of what you would do? Is you would bring ideas to this council, like we saw this and we think if you did this action, is that?
Yeah, well, so I think a big thing about it is like presentations like what I'm doing right now are things that we can have the youth council come up and do and just get a moment to discuss whatever it is that they've talked about. But I think the two biggest things are input and outreach. And so I think that for that input aspect, bringing that to the city council is very important. But then also, my goal is to really help the youth council also get city council ideas and help bring those out to the community as well. So I think it can really be reciprocated.
Okay, I understand.
Yeah.
Do you have a comment on that?
Yeah, so we had talked about the idea of like if they wanted to have a dedicated person to attend city council meetings as well. I think the thought that came to mind for me was like in like the council committee section of our reports, like whoever is the liaison to that group, and it would only be once a month, so it would be every meeting, but like they could report out if there's anything notable, and then sort of like Ed Flash does for the Arts Council, where he comes and plugs the event sometimes. I think I just figured like we would, if young folks want to come speak sort of in that manner too, we would welcome them, of course. I mean, it's public comment, so of course we welcome them, but those two things are sort of what I was looking at. And then, if they wanted to do like a yearly sort of report out to us or one in a more formal setting too, I think we could take a look at that.
Okay, so this is, in a sense, it's a kind of a council on the side, where really there's minimal interaction with us as a group, other than to give us, advice or opinions. Is that really, am I reading that correctly?
I think it's not, yeah, I mean, it's not like a commission or anything. I think it's get more youth involved, get them, they can serve as, we can get another young person into all of our committees and commissions, and then, it's not like, they're not dictating anything to us by any means, I would say. It's, they can provide feedback, or, if they so want to do an event, right, they have more of a platform to help. Much like if the Arts Council came to the city saying we want to do an event, they have much more of a platform to do that than if they were just an individual who liked the
Sure,
arts
okay.
coming. So I think that's trying to help the youth sort of consolidate
Sure,
their efforts in
okay.
that way.
Makes sense. Do we have any anticipated kind of budget or expenses for the city? Will this result in any kind of monetary outlay for the city that you can think of?
I would hope not.
And a big thing that I did also want to talk about was, funding could be used when necessary, but I think that a really big part of it is I want youth involved in all aspects of it, and that includes fundraising. So I think that whether that means like charity donations, that can also be something that the council talks about once it's formed as well.
Okay. Yeah, I support you, absolutely, 100%.
Thank you so
And I
much.
would only suggest that you'd probably want 2 council members as one as a backup, because that you might not know if somebody's on vacation or whatever, so.
Yeah.
Otherwise, thank you. That's
Great.
awesome.
Thank
Any
you
other
so much.
questions?
Yeah,
We have another
so
question over here.
I just want to give a comment. I mean,
Okay.
you asked all the questions already, so thank you for really, really thorough. Yes. So thank you for coming. I really, you have my full support, because it's really, really near and dear to my heart to see youth engagement and you take your initiative, and really such a thorough presentation. I'm really impressed. So I look forward to seeing more members and also the projects going. And if you need help, so feel free to ask. Okay, thank you.
Really appreciate that.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, thank you so much. I mean, you are very talented at presenting, so good job. I'm very
you,
impressed. So I guess my question maybe isn't to you, but just technically, what are the next steps? Do we bring this back to, as an agenda item to kind of,
Yeah, I think I was anticipating we would work out some more of we can work on the where would they meet specific. I don't think there's any cost anticipated, but we can go through and confirm that. And then sort of just come forward. I think I was going to work with City Manager Pingle to hopefully come forward with some September 2nd. If there's something that schedule doesn't permit, then it could be later. But I think we were looking at a discussion tonight, consolidate feedback, and try to bring it back September 2nd. You can comment, City Manager.
My only concern is making sure we can kind of massage the connection with the city. And I just don't know right off the top of my head how to make that language work so that they can be tied to the city but operate independently of OPMA and public records and all of those things. And so I just want to make sure if we can do that and have it ready for the council September 2nd, let's do it. If not, we might need a meeting.
And I guess another question that I have is, as the secretary is taking meeting minutes, could that technically be considered a record?
Well, if you're tied to the city, it would.
Okay.
But even if you have your own secretary, we still have to supervise it because it's a
Yeah.
city record.
Mhm.
If we can avoid that, we'd like to avoid that.
Yeah.
And I'll just add too, I think City Manager Pingle and I talked about, we're going to run all this by Curtis as well, the attorney chambers for the city to cover some of those things we're talking about. So figuring out the specific, the needle to thread there. And then I did request from City of Kirkland, City of Auburn, City of Redmond, and actually City of Sunnyside in Yakima County, their sort of structures too, to see how they ordered it.
thank you.
Great. Well, thank you so much for having me. And perfect.
You're not done yet.
Love to answer more stuff.
I have a question, and then I have two quick statements. Who's the handsome guy in the green shirt over there?
That's my dad.
That's what I thought. I want to talk to you. I have a teenage daughter starting high school in a couple weeks. I've been up here for a while and I've been to enough meetings. I've heard children speak. I don't remember a more well-prepared, confident, articulate, she didn't do ums, ahs, likes, and I know teenage daughters. Ever. Literally, I show past them, I go, she's impressive, she speaks better than me. I wrote that right here. So I want to say about Ashna, well done, congratulations, Dad. Second thing, that goes to every adult I've seen too. I mean, you, young lady, have a future. Very, very impressive. You got my full support.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. I all around just really appreciate the support I'm getting from all of you. And really just thank you so much.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Okay, next up is council committees. Finance Committee?
Finance Committee met on July the 30th. Director Chambers did an excellent job on my report tonight. Thank you, Director Chambers.
Economic and Community Development? No? Okay. Moving on to regional committees. Any regional committee reports? Go ahead, Councilmember Charbonneau.
Thank you. Yeah, for transportation, the sort of East Side cities, Sound City Association drafted a letter for the cities on the east side of King County talking about transit as it relates to FIFA World Cup and sort of advocating for our needs there. It's a draft right now, so I was going to send it to, and they're seeking feedback, so I was going to send it to the city clerk to distribute to y'all for that. And then for mental illness drug dependency group, they're going through with groups of subject matter experts to look at the renewal of the tax that's coming up in a year or two here. So if you have folks have feedback on that too as well, they're going through that process at the county right now.
Okay, I emailed everybody two reports from Councilmember Burford. Thank you. If you have any questions on those two contents emailed, anybody? Okay. Thank you, Councilmember Burford. I appreciate that. Okay, moving on. There's no commission reports. City Manager, go ahead.
Just wanted to thank Amy George, our events and rec coordinator, and our crew, and all the people that volunteer for the summer event or summer concert series. They went off super well, even working through potential rain August 6th, and it held off for us, so that was great. But and then Newcastle Day is coming up September 6th.
Questions for the City Manager? Anybody? Okay, moving on to the consent agenda. Any desired changes to tonight's consent agenda? Okay, seeing none, show the consent agenda approved as written. There are no public hearings. There is no unfinished business. General business, adoption of ordinance 2025-672, amending business license requirements. I guess City Manager, who's going to take that? Director Chambers, go ahead.
I'll be happy to speak to this one. So this is more of a housekeeping ordinance. The model ordinance language was updated this past year. And so we have until sometime in October to adopt the newly updated language within our ordinance so that we can report it to DOR and have it be effective January 1. So the main change in here is that the former threshold for exemption of businesses that were located outside of Newcastle but doing business in the city limits was $2,000. So if they did less than $2,000 of business within Newcastle, they were exempted from having to get the business license. It's now moving up to $4,000, and then every 4 years there's going to be a CPI adjustment to that value.
Okay. Questions for Director Chambers? Okay, can I get a motion from somebody?
I'll move to adopt ordinance 2025-672, amending ordinance 2018-572 and chapter 5.15.040 of the Newcastle Municipal Code relating to general business licenses as presented.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to adopt ordinance 2025-672, amending ordinance 2018-572 and chapter 5-15040 of the Newcastle Municipal Code relating to general business licenses as presented. I'll just say, any discussion desired? Nope. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion passes 7-0. Thank you, Director Chambers. Moving on to additional public comment. City Clerk, do you have anybody? Okay, reminder then, if you're going to come up to the podium, we'll call your name. Please come on up and talk to about what you'd like to talk about. You'll have 3 minutes. The buzzer will ring, and we ask you to wrap it up. So, Kevin Cushman, come on up, Kevin.
Hello. Hi, Kevin. I live in Windtree neighborhood. I actually have questions about the youth council. So as I'm hearing things, it's really good proposal, but I was looking to add some analytics to the whole conversation. What is the true boundary? Or do they have to be a Newcastle resident, or are they just affiliated with a couple of high schools, right? Which high schools, right? Newcastle doesn't have a high school system, so you got Liberty, you got Hazen. Is Renton involved? Is Newport involved? Do we have kids at all for those schools? What percentage of those schools? How do we ensure that the leadership positions don't slant to one school and the kids from another school, mainly Liberty, Hazen, or everything can be the dominant, aren't feeling that Liberty's taken over the board and I can't even get a position because they're the ones that vote the new people in and I can't get in? Do we rotate positions by the major schools every year, right? President can't be 1 year it's Liberty, 1 year it's Hazen. Can't go 2 years. What's the term limits per role? Is there a maximum of 3 years as a leadership position out of your 4 years? So just different things to create the equity of the positions. Year one positions might be predetermined, right? Because this council doesn't exist, so they have to actually name people to positions that don't even exist yet. So the whole initial rule of, you got to be on the team for a year, doesn't exist for year one leadership positions, right? So just how does this thing long-term become equitable such that one group doesn't get faded out by another group who takes the leadership positions and has, I'm going to bring my freshman friend in and they're in a leader position forever, and one school ultimately takes over the whole thing, right? The people on the hill take over what people not on the hill. The people not on the hill take over from the people on the hill, basically. So how is this thing going to work long-term so it's equitable? And again, is Renton High School involved, or is their boundary not involved? If you're a Liberty person, but you're not actually Newcastle, you're close to Newcastle, but not Newcastle, are you eligible or not eligible? So what is the true boundary of eligibility? We also do have many kids could be at a private school, but Newcastle resident. So maybe you have to deal with that too. There's a lot of kids going to private school in our neighborhood, right? So how do we deal with all that stuff? And how do we keep it equitable over time so that one group doesn't have to be taken over?
Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate your comments. I'm sure that Ashna and Paul and the city manager were taking mental notes there. I don't have any answers for you, and I don't know that we will right at the moment, but those are excellent questions. I'm sure we'll include that, Councilmember Charbonneau and city manager. Okay, is there anybody online, city clerk? Okay, that concludes the second public comment. Okay, moving on to planning calendar, city manager.
Thank you, Mayor. For September 2nd, we'll have a budget workshop to go over revenue and expenditure forecast, along with our underlying assumptions going into the 2026 budget. Primarily, the things that come along. What's the CPI? What's the liability insurance increase? What's health insurance increases? What are our major drivers for revenues and expenditures? We have a couple of agreements, and I'll provide some additional information to the council before we get to those as far as consent goes, and then we'll have a couple of franchise agreements ready to go for the council for the September 2nd meeting. And I'll take any questions as far as that goes.
That's, we're not starting early for that budget workshop, right? That's included in the meeting.
So that would be up to the council. That's what we've started early the last couple of years, but if we want to make it part of the general meeting, we can do that.
Well, there's only those two things on there for action. I wouldn't, what's the council think? Normal time, and we just talk it as a business, as a general business item? Yes, that's what we'll do.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions for, go ahead, Councilor Charbonneau, you have a question?
I just, before we wrapped, I just wanted to acknowledge, because we just appointed, because Gabriella Golzarian's in the audience, and we just appointed her to the Activities Commission, so I want to say thank you for joining us. In the back, I had, Gabriella works as an arborist with the city of Renton, and she had volunteered her time to come meet with myself, the city manager, several department heads, and they were just blown away by her knowledge of trees and wetlands and all that, so I'm very glad she's applied to serve with the city and bring all that expertise here, so we appreciate you.
Sorry, I didn't see you hiding back there, but yes, the interview was outstanding, so you did a great job, and it was an easy choice. So. Any other questions for the city manager on the planning calendar? So there was I don't know if it was a hack or whatever, but there was an email today that said you can't.
my fault. I tried to put it on my personal calendar and it accidentally populated everyone else, so that's why I canceled it. And I'm sorry about that.
Okay, so you weren't trying to cancel it.
I was trying to put the town hall on my personal calendar so I would remember, because if it's not on my calendar, I won't be there. And I don't know what happened. It populated
Okay.
from something else, and then I hit send and I realized it, so I just canceled it. So, sorry.
So speaking of the town hall, I was speaking with the city manager previously offline about this, but I'm concerned that the town hall won't have any value, and to be honest, because we know what happens at town halls. They become, certain people stand up and they just attack certain council members because it's a free-for-all. And I don't remember a single budget question at last year's similar event. It was all just an attack on Councilmember Tillman at the time. Kind of wastes everybody's time, and I don't really feel they're productive at this point. I'm not in favor necessarily of having the town hall. I'd like the council to reconsider. I just don't think there's value, just because of what we've experienced in past town halls. So, and I welcome any comments.
So do we need to vote whether we're going to have town hall or not?
Well, it's already been agreed to have
okay.
a town hall. I just was asking the council to reconsider, that's all. So, did you have a comment?
I guess, city manager, can you speak to, I know like I know there's several entities that like table at those sort of events. I believe city staff are there to, like the directors are there to answer questions, and I think some of the commissions table are like, I believe, I don't know, I've seen like Bill Burr's there with the scouts too before, so what's the feedback you've gotten from the folks that are like tabling and just being like, using it as a space to be like available for the community?
So we can ask them. I don't know that we've gotten specific comments from them, at least not from the last couple of town halls. I think that they appreciate the opportunity to put themselves out there. I can't say that we've gotten specific comments from them based on their town hall experience.
Is there any other comments about it?
I remember during our agenda meeting, I had mentioned that, we didn't get as much audience as we hoped, and one town hall a year was good enough. I don't know if you remember. So I was in that favor that, one town hall a year was good because we don't get as many questions and it's the same thing. But I think we can always open the council chambers. If people want to ask questions, they're more than welcome to come and ask questions or make comments. But either ways,
My concern is that it's an election season and that just because it's going to become just a, trying to be a gotcha moment for members of the public who want to get somebody up here, and we don't need to waste our time with that. The public is always free to come in and ask budget questions of any, they know it's budget season, we make that very clear. So I don't think the town hall for a budget discussion is going to be valuable because there just won't be a lot of budget questions. It'll be statements and it'll be political gotcha moments. That's just my opinion. So I would not be, I'll go with what the group wants, but I don't see value in it. Go ahead.
I'll be honest. I'm frankly shocked by this conversation because in the last couple of years with this council, we've all agreed to have more town halls. I think they're a good thing. I think we should be accessible to our community, especially during budget season. This is something we've historically always had this town hall during budget season. I think it should be more structured. I think we should have a solid presentation, and give opportunities for us to present as a council to the community. I think it's important to give the opportunity in a different space for people to ask questions. If we're afraid of that, I just don't agree with that. I think we should be transparent and accessible.
So last year was the first year we had a second town hall, and so we've never had one in the budget season before, and nobody's afraid. It's just, it's a waste of time because we're not going to get budget questions. I don't care the public, addressing the public, we do that up here. We have no problem whether we wouldn't be on this dais, but I don't think, that's just my opinion. So let's just do this. Let's just call for a vote. Raise your hands. I mean, we did already agree to it, but I'm asking for a reconsideration. So if you're in favor of the town hall, I ask you to raise your hand for if you're in favor of this town hall, or we can table it till September 2nd and see where we're at on the budget discussion. I mean, have we already reserved the room? We've already reserved it, right? So, okay. So I would just ask for a vote. So I'm just going to ask any council member in favor of the town hall, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3. Opposed to the town hall? Okay, 3 to 4. Okay. At this point, city manager, is there any obligation to us from renting the city or renting the resident?
No.
Okay. We can always readdress this at the next meeting if there's a change of heart, but I just don't feel there's value because it's political season and it's not going to be budget related. Okay, any other questions on the planning calendar? Anybody? Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you.